Welcome to A Taste of AZ podcast, where we interview everyone from James Beard award-winning chefs to local mixologists, winemakers, breweries, and so much more. We've got an awesome episode lined up for you today. But before we get into that, head to atasteofaz.com so you can subscribe to our quarterly magazine and email newsletter to find all of the best places to eat and drink around town. Don't forget to follow us on social media. Now let's get into the episode. Alrighty, hello, A Taste of AZ podcast listeners. We are here today at the Blue Heron. I will let our guest go ahead and introduce himself and what this place is.
Yeah, so the Blue Heron is a local neighborhood speakeasy. It's under the same umbrella as Crust, simply Italian. Mm-hmm. We have a few different speakeasy concepts, but it's really just an elevated experience.
And sure. So kind of describe, because speakeasy means a lot of different things to a lot of different people in this day and age. Kind of describe the layout of the entire establishment and how Crust differentiates from Blue Heron. Yeah,
for sure. So Crust, I would definitely say it's more of a family style. You know, kids are there. I mean, over here in the Blue Heron, it's 21 and over. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely a dating scene. Small interactions. It's definitely a more intimate setting for sure.
Not that that's not a cool spot.
Yeah, it's awesome. Cool spot. Yeah. It's both are for different crowds for sure.
And so family style Italian over there. This do you call it a cocktail bar, a cocktail lounge?
We call it a cocktail lounge for sure. Yeah,
cool.
Absolutely.
And so I guess let's jump right into it then. What is kind of your guys' methodology, or how are you preparing your cocktails? Because I saw on the menu you have the Trader Vic's Mai Tai, which from my limited cocktail expertise is, the guy who made the Mai Tai. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. Trader Vic. Yep.
And so, with that name, are you guys paying homage to it and kind of playing around with it, or overall describe your cocktail menu? Yeah.
Definitely classics. We definitely try to stick to the old style, how it was prohibition and to modern cocktails. But some of them we do have our own small twist. Because we can't get certain liquor sometimes, so we use liquors that we know is going to be consistent and on the money every single time.
Sure.
Some ingredients are going to change a little bit, but we really try to pay homage to the people who created it.
Mm-hmm. And so I'm looking at the menu here. I see classics on one side and crafts on the other. How would you describe crafts then?
Those are our own creations. Okay. So those are our own takes of because you have classic cocktails, daiquiris, old fashions, and then those stem from our own, our own little creations where you can't find them anywhere else but here.
Sure. And so are you rotating those often, or do they stay around for a bit?
So it depends. A good menu is between 8 to 10 months, and then we try to freshen up and change it around. So this cocktail menu came out recently.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And so let's kind of circle back to the restaurant group overall. So how long has Crust and Blue Heron been around for?
So this location, I think Crust has been open for over a year on Gilbert, and then the Blue Heron opened about a year. We opened last November.
And so this spot opened up with the overall concept then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
And so
the Blue Heron took a little bit longer, but yeah.
And is Crust the original concept under the group?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And so with Blue Heron, is this your guys' first speakeasy-esque concept, or do you have other ones like this?
No, I believe the first one is to be in downtown Chandler. It's going to be the Ostrich. It's going to be a really cool basement bar.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's completely different. What I like is that all the concepts are very, very different. So we have our own style. So I believe that's the first one that he came
And
out
have you been here the entire time that you've been with the company?
Yes. Yes, I have. Yeah.
And how long has that been for?
Almost a year. Almost a year now.
And so what exactly are you doing on the team?
I'm the bar manager.
Okay.
Yeah. So I run the team, help create signature drinks and stuff like that. I had a hand in creating the Martini Tuesday menu, which is really, really cool. But just making sure everything runs smoothly and everyone's kept happy.
So you're the guy that it really kind of all comes down to then, being the cocktail side.
Yeah, which is good. All the managers here are very hands-on. Everyone's really cool. So we all play as a team and make sure everything runs smoothly for sure.
Cool. And so since you came on, which sounds like was right around the beginning, how many times have you seen the menu on the craft side of things evolve?
Honestly, when I first started, they had one menu that lasted for a while. So I would say only two menus have been around. Yeah.
And so when you guys are looking to change the menu, what are you looking for? Are you keeping some of the very popular ones, or are you just starting from scratch? How does that look?
Honestly, it depends what sells. If people really like it, we're going to make sure we fight for it to stay. But some if we could look at it like, it's not really selling too hot, or some are like, okay, we can kind of mess around with that. We'll change it up for sure. I mean, like definitely for the crafts, we kept a few of them, but we really try to like do something different and get people's attention and, make sure they have something where they can't find anywhere else.
Sure. And I would think maybe it changes neighborhood to neighborhood since you guys have them in different, popular big neighborhoods. But maybe they don't. I don't really know. What kind of sells? What do you feel like people are ordering in the cocktail world right now?
It's so random. It honestly depends on the night. I mean, but we make a lot of old fashions, a lot of Mai Tais. And we have like 2 or 3 cocktails on the craft side that are really, really popular. I mean, like the Pillow Talk, which is really cool. It's strawberry gin, Hawaiiana. It's stirred.
What is that?
It's like a Mediterranean liqueur. It is so unique. Once you have it by itself, but when you implement it in a cocktail, it's awesome.
And so I got to try and pronounce this. Is it Juana Guanabana?
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow,
yeah,
that is
we all struggle
ever.
Sometimes trying to trying to pronounce it. Yeah.
Do people ask what it is a lot?
All the time.
Yeah,
all the time. They're like, what the hell is that? So there's definitely some ingredients we have to do explaining. But once they try it, like, okay, I understand. It's pretty damn good. Yeah.
And so do you guys kind of take that, educating people? I imagine most cocktail bars, that's a large part of it. But is that something with this neighborhood being, I would assume, a lot of families? Is that what you see coming in?
A lot of families.
Maybe people that aren't, living in the city ordering fancy martinis and stuff all the time. Is that the case?
For sure. Yeah, it's definitely, a family style, area, which is kind of nice. So I like it a lot here because it can be escape for a lot of couples, husbands, wives, I mean, it's definitely an older crowd, but we're kind of steering into younger crowd right now too, which is quite nice.
Well, yeah. And it's interesting. You use the word escape. That's almost like, it's a word that kind of, I don't know, it's sparking something weird in my head right now. Cause when you think about speakeasies in this day and age, the original speakeasy obviously was like closed off and illegal activity. Now it's much more of like a marketing thing, which I'm all down for. Yeah. But it's like it has this feeling of kind of being closed off. I think you have, like a window over there, but right now it's closed. I think the idea of a speakeasy in general being an escape from the day-to-day life, I think.
Oh, for sure. I mean, there's no TVs in here. I mean, you're literally just here with the person you're with and a cocktail. That's literally it.
Which is like the thing that gets people talking the most of anything, right?
Exactly.
A little drink to go along with the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you mentioned the Pillow Talk. What else on your list of crafts right now is being ordered a lot?
The Baker. That I would happily say that, and Ostrich Porn Star. Those two are constant every night. The Baker is my personal favorite on our craft side. It's always easy to like serve that one because I know they're gonna like it.
How would you describe that one?
That one is definitely unique. I would say definitely, I mean, like on kind of a rich side, but also very silky and crisp.
Is it more spirit forward then?
Definitely more spirit forward.
Okay.
I mean, we sous vide figs and bourbon for a few hours, and then we add lemon juice to it. We make our own simple cinnamon syrup that we add to it. We do it with an egg white, and then we do like a really cool design on top with blue curacao Angostura bitters.
Oh, wow.
So we put a lot of work into it.
You don't need to give all your technique away, but I've never heard sous vide figs in anything, or really like that's not something I've ever heard a bar manager or mixologist use as a technique before. Is that like a common thing right now?
I would say so. Definitely in the modern like speakeasies for sure. Modern cocktail lounges, because you can pour liquor and then add a fruit into it and let it sit there for a few hours. But if you heat it up and in a bag, it expedites the whole thing. So like.
Again, I don't want to dig too much out of your tech out of it, but like what temperature range are we talking? Is this like kind of warm? I wouldn't imagine it's getting hot.
Yeah, I would say some is warm, but like if you're really trying to speed it up, you want it like kind of hot.
Okay.
You want it like, like 140, 150, depending what it is, kind of sit there, and then you let it sit there for a while and it's done.
Yeah. That's interesting. I'm surprised I haven't heard that before because I do like to fancy myself a little bit of a food and beverage aficionado, but that's
for sure. I like it. Yeah, right on.
And then, of course, you got some Montenegro in there, which is like my favorite. Is it a digestive, an aperitif, an amaro?
Aperitif. Okay. We do both. That one's going to be aperitif,
Because I've seen it on a few different things, and I'm like, I don't really know what to call it, but I like a glass.
You're a big fan of amaro?
Well, that's the thing is I haven't had too much of it, but shout out to the Wrigley Mansion. We were there for a podcast, and Jason Caballero busted out some of the little tiny bottles, the sample size bottles of Montenegro.
Right
and I
on.
never had it before, and I think I'm just cool because I had that experience, so I like go to it now. But yeah, I mean, I think it must be a little bit of placebo, but then whenever I say it to someone who knows, they're like, "Oh no, it's a real thing." But like, it helps settle the stomach afterwards.
Oh yeah, it's so funny. Like, especially in the industry, when people come in, like, "Can I get a shot of Amaro?" The first thought was like, "Oh, you're a bartender," or like, "You're in the industry," because nobody ever orders that. Just
unless you're like an old Italian dude, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Which, I mean, they're onto something, right?
Yeah,
Some of those Italian communities have long living folks out there.
Yeah. They know something we're not doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
They know something.
It's all the Amaro, I guess.
Yeah.
And then you said Ostrich Porn Star.
Ostrich Porn Star. Yeah. That's probably number one seller. Honestly.
So, is that, is there any relation? I imagine there is to the Ostrich that you have in downtown Chandler.
Yep.
Is it in downtown?
Downtown Chandler.
Okay.
Yep. Downtown Chandler. So that one, it goes off like the Porn Star Martini, but we have like our own take on it. So I mean, it's a very simple cocktail, but it's just an easy one to please. It's really solid.
Well, yeah, and I mean, for a speakeasy, especially in this day and age, cocktail prices can be exorbitant.
Oh yes. Absolutely.
$19-$20 a drink, and I'm like, I would love to have another one, but I just can't afford it.
I know.
Now.
Yeah.
Your prices, especially on like the classic side, basically everything for the most part is $14, and then you got like a $13 cocktail and a $15. That's pretty affordable.
We keep it fair,
especially for a place that's doing craft cocktails at the level that you guys are doing.
Yeah.
Is that just out of curiosity? Is that just selecting the right ingredients? How do you keep
absolutely?
Things down like
I mean,
that?
there's so much like detail and like science when it comes into it. So we want to make sure that we're delivering, the highest quality ingredients and service, but also keeping it fair for people who just want to come and have a date night, have 2 drinks, and not have to worry about their pockets being crushed. So I think we really try to make sure we do that.
And then as far as, this upper portion of the list here, the classics and the crafts, is there any other thing that you personally really like or find interesting?
I mean, I honestly the classics. So like, I mean, even like the caipirinha, it's such an old Brazilian cocktail that we're really trying to push. It sounds really weird what we put in there as far as like, people not knowing what it is, but it's very crisp. It's refreshing.
Walk me through that one a little bit, ingredient wise.
Yeah. So we have aba cachaça, which is, like kind of a rum like spirit. It's its own flavor, but it's Brazilian. And then you have limes, and then demerara or a simple syrup, and you muddle it with some ice, give it a quick stir, and it's delicious.
It sounds pretty like light and refreshing. Is that
it is absolutely
okay.
Absolutely.
Is it reminiscent of like a mojito?
Yeah, kind of. Without the mint, it's gonna have that same kind of like style of creating it, but it's a completely different flavor.
I'm always tuned into those because that's my mom's favorite drink. And she's very, very picky.
So she would probably like that one.
Okay,
she would probably like that one.
Mom, if you're listening, we'll have to bring you here sometime.
Another one I personally like too is gonna be the Clover Club.
Walk me through that one as well.
So that one's really good. I mean, that's gonna be gin, raspberries, lemon, and egg white. It's so simple, but once it's funny, the egg white kind of skeezes people sometime, but once you kind of have it, it's like, okay, now I understand.
So that's one where you see some places using, what is it, the fee foam? Is that what it's called?
Fee foam. Yep. Yeah.
Are you guys using egg white for everything then?
Yeah, unless we get a request from somebody, we do carry it. If somebody is kind of like too skeezed out, we can do that. That's fine. We don't have a problem with that at all. I
mean, obviously one's an egg white and one is whatever it is. Why did you guys decide to go with the egg white side of things?
I think what is this? It's just really crafty. That's prohibition. That's what they did. I think it just adds more like detail and it looks kind of like cool once you see it in person. People are just like, "What the hell did you just do?"
Yeah.
Like, why are you putting egg in a drink? And then once they have it, it's
Well, and I think when you're doing classics like this, it makes sense to have that be the direction you go. I was just curious.
Yeah.
And then I love me a good espresso martini as well.
That's a classic. Classic. Yeah.
What is this one? Is this Vieux Carré?
Yeah, Vieux Carré.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's gonna be a New Orleans classic cocktail.
Okay.
Yeah. It's kind of like a mix between like a Manhattan and an old fashioned. It's definitely its own thing for sure. Very delicious.
Yeah. Now you got Paloma on here. You got the Vesper Martini. You got a lot of drinks that sound terrific, and I'm sure they are.
Thank you.
And then on the craft side of things, it's cool to see you guys incorporating not only unique ingredients like whatever the one we said was before that I'm not even going to try and pronounce again. But then like Last Mango in Mexico, you got El Tesoro, and they're probably maybe my favorite tequila.
It's really good. It's really nice.
And
yeah.
Typically when you see that on a menu, it's not a $15 cocktail either.
It's not. Yeah.
And then so down on the bottom, you've got some barrel-aged drinks, and it looks like 2 different types of old fashions and then a smoked. Kind of walk me through this bottom section.
Yeah,
here.
so the old fashioned. So, we give you the option of standard and upgraded. Standard just meaning, do you want a well, or upgraded, do you want something like top shelf? Whistle Pig, Buffalo Trace, Woodford Reserve, stuff like that. And then, we offer you to have a cube. If you want it smoked, we can do applewood, tobacco, and cinnamon. So we give you a lot of options on kind of like customizing what you like and what you don't like. And, we like giving people like something new that they haven't had before,
Even seeing El Tesoro on there, that's not something I like. The quirks of different cocktail menus, because with, it being a drink and you're paying, here, what is quite affordable, but still $14 a drink. It's not a small purchase. I think it's fun when you can kind of tweak them around a little bit, because it creates your own little adventure.
Oh, for sure.
I forget where it was, but I saw a place where they had, all of their different drink menus in it, or their drink items, and then you could pick one of 3 different liquors.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that before. Yeah. There's a lot of concepts that do that, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and then you got barrel-aged cocktails as well. Yes. Walk me through those.
Yeah, so we have barrel-aged Manhattan, and then we have a barrel-aged strawberry Negroni.
Ooh.
So we add all the ingredients. It's already batched, and then we leave it in for a few days, and then we'll pour it out, give it a quick 15-second stir, and it's unique flavor.
What types
really,
of barrels
really
are you doing them in?
I believe American oak. I believe. Yeah.
One of our writers, Christina, loves Negroni. So Christina, if you're listening, you got to come try this Negroni sometime. A real quick reminder, head over to atasteofaz.com and subscribe to our email newsletter. Also, subscribe to A Taste of AZ magazine and get it shipped right to your door. Now let's get back into today's episode. So you've got Blue Heron, and you've got the Ostrich. Is that what it's called?
The Ostrich, yeah.
And are there other ones? I think you mentioned one in downtown as well.
Yeah, we have the Ostrich, the Blue Heron. We have one opening up soon in Mesa called the Nightingale, and then we have one opening up this month in Scottsdale called the Goose.
Okay. And so obviously a bird theme.
Yeah.
What else is tying these concepts together, if anything?
Definitely there is a bird theme. The only thing that's different, I would say, is, connection-wise, is we keep the classics the same in every place, but we have every place has their own crafts. So each bar is like, we're a little more upscale, and the Ostrich is more of like, like grungy, a good time. So they have their own different crafts as well. So I would say like one part is the same, but the other part is just the aesthetic and then their own creations.
So very much worth visiting the different locations.
Oh, absolutely. They're all going to be different in their own way.
So I'm curious, how did you get into the bartending mixology industry?
I started off my career in construction. I was like, 16, 17. And, I wasn't really crazy about like my future in it. I saw how people were and getting injured. And so I took a part-time job serving. And then I worked for like an old Italian restaurant. And one of the bartender was actually one of the owners, and she was like 65 years old.
Oh, wow. And
she needed help behind the bar, and she taught me. And then after that, I kind of fell in love. And then I moved around from there to like nightclubs, and I got into lounges. And then a few years ago, I got into like speakeasies and the craft cocktail side. So it's just a constant like learning and growing experience.
So it sounds like as soon as you spent some time behind the bar, you kind of got bit by the bar bug.
Immediately. Yeah, immediately fell in love.
And so when you were working at that first location, how long ago was that roughly?
Man, I'm about to be 30. So I think I was like 20.
Okay.
19 and 20. Yeah.
And so what was it about it? Was it, a lot of people like serving people. A lot of people really like the nerdy side of it. I like the nerdy side of it. I don't know if I'd be the best bartender in the world. What was it for you?
When I first started, I had no idea how much science went into it. I think for me, first it was the customer interaction. You're making somebody's night. You're making somebody's day. It's always going to be different, fast paced. And then once I got into the craft cocktail, it was definitely a nerdy thing. I'm like, holy crap, this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like we're sous videing things, burning. It's a lot of like cool things, especially now like we're in modern like cocktail ages. So, even the technology we have, you can make really cool stuff.
Absolutely. And so you said you bounced around a few places, went into some speakeasies along the way. Kind of, you mentioned some of the techniques there, but What else are some of the things that you're learning that allow you to come here and open up this menu?
I mean, we get new spirits here every couple weeks, so that's definitely a big one because there's some spirits I never heard of or it's new on the scene. So that's always going to be an experience. I mean, there's technology. I mean, like some flavor blasters or some smokers I've never used before, and then once I get my hands on, I'm like, okay, this kind of changes the game. So there's always an improvement and faster way to do things and quality wise.
Absolutely. Are you guys just doing like mad science experiments back
Sometimes,
there?
yeah.
Apparently you are when you're sous videing figs and bourbon and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes we are. Yeah.
So you said this menu just went live recently, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, now that it's live, you mentioned a few recommendations that you push people to, but how much work goes into building out a menu like this? How many hours were spent coming up with recipes?
A lot. I mean, I only had a really small portion of helping out, but usually, we have a beverage team and then the owners, they do their own thing with it. It's a lot. I mean, it is painstakingly detailed. And you have to really make sure that you're on the money with the numbers and what actually works, what tastes good, what people like. So you have to have a team and make sure that you're coming on from different avenues and making sure that the goal is to make somebody happy and make it taste good, make sure it looks beautiful.
And how many seats do you guys have in here?
I would say maybe 60, 70. We could probably fit about like 110, 120 people in here.
So when it really gets bumping on a poppin' weekend, how many drinks does that mean that you guys are typically pushing out?
We're pumping out a lot. I mean, it's funny. Like we look at the numbers between like us and then downtown Chandler. They're obviously like way ahead of us, but we're still like pumping out a lot every weekend, every week. So. And
what is that like when you're in the thick of it and you got 4 drinks you're already working on, or however many you got another one?
Honestly, you just kind of zone out.
Yeah.
It's just like you're kind of zoned out and you're talking to people and you're shaking cocktails and staring. It's just, you're just in the moment and you don't realize how fast time goes.
Sure.
So once we get busy, 2, 3, 4 hours will pass and we'll have no idea.
Yeah.
And then we're like, oh wow, okay, we're almost done.
I mean, you don't really have any time to look at the time.
So yeah, exactly. Sense, right? Yeah, exactly.
So what should people expect? How do they make a reservation? Do they need a secret password to get in here? What does that look like?
No, there's no password. There's no reservation. It's first come, first serve. Unless you have like a party of more than 6 or 8, I recommend get a reservation to make sure you have your seat locked in. But no, it's first come, first serve.
And I figure on weekends it gets pretty busy.
It gets it gets really busy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, what are your guys' hours? What days are you open?
So we're only days on close. We're on close on Mondays, and then we're open Tuesday to Sunday. Okay. We're open on weekdays 5 to 10, and then Friday, Saturday we're open 5 to midnight. And we also have happy hour too, 5 to 6. On certain
what
days.
is your happy hour?
So happy hours between 5 to 6. It is Thursday to Sunday, and so we have discounted food. Classic cocktails are $10, and we just have a few things there.
All the classic cocktails are $10.
All classics. Wow. Yeah, our crafts the crafts stay the same, but all the classics are all $10.
And the food all comes from next door, right?
Correct, from the Crust side.
So what are some of like the popular food items that people are typically ordering over here with their drinks?
I mean, fried calamari. I mean, mozzarella in caraza, which is like a fried mozzarella.
Okay.
Which is really good. Meat and cheese board is very popular. We have a few new dishes like the bone marrow, vegetable frito misto. So it just depends. I mean, and you have a lot of people who come in late night, at 10:30, they'll come in and they'll order a tiramisu and a few cocktails and that'll be it.
And you said what time you guys close at?
Midnight on Friday, Saturday, and then 10 on weekdays.
Okay. And so do you have any specials on those late nights? Or is it just kind of normal menu type of thing?
Well, the late night menu is going to be very different. We have a different pizza, different appetizers. And then, I mean, it's a little more, it's an elevated late night menu. Because the Crust side closes at 9, and then from 8 to 12, we have our own smaller menu.
Dude, an espresso martini with some tiramisu to wrap
That's
up
it.
the night.
Exactly.
I mean, that's about as good as it gets.
Exactly.
And then did you say Martini Tuesdays or something like that?
Yeah, we do Martini Tuesdays. So
Okay,
that's a whole separate menu. So that was something I proudly created. So
nice.
I try to do something like little, classic, but also something different. So I mean, that's a whole different menu. And it's only available on Tuesdays.
Okay. And is it like a handful of just different martinis, I would imagine?
Yeah, it's all different martinis. Like a riff on a chocolate martini. Porn star martini. So they're all different flavors. So sweet, bitter, spirit forward. They're all different.
So I feel like such a scrub even asking this question, but like what truly defines a martini? And then with the different flavors you have, what kind of differentiates them? Because you said a few different names, but I hear it and I'm like, okay, this one's going to taste like chocolate. This one's going to taste like this.
Yeah.
What actually goes into a normal martini and then building out these other varieties?
I mean, a normal martini is literally just, vodka and gin, vermouth, and, it could be bitters depending on the person, and you're stirring it. I mean, but nowadays it's such a modern concept. We can, it's funny. Like sometimes when people say martini, if it comes in martini glass, it's a martini. But it just depends. I mean, now we have a lot of freedom. We can do something sweet, even though it's not stirred. It's gonna be shaken. So we just try to make it different.
And approximately how many different flavors did you say you have on that martini menu, the Tuesday martini menu?
I would say we probably have like 7 or 8 cocktails on that. Yeah,
that's like a significant amount.
Yeah,
I imagine you serve the normal menu alongside that, right?
We do. We do. Yeah, we do.
Does that run all Tuesday long? Is that a specific time set?
Yep, all Tuesday long. Yeah.
Okay.
So from 5 to 10, you can order from on that menu only on Tuesdays.
Okay. And do you have any other like daily specials or kind of things like that, programs that you have going on throughout the week?
Yeah. So we're going to be definitely doing, we have a great team. So I want to make sure that everybody has a creative hand in there. So we're going to be doing signature cocktails every month, for the holidays, spring, summer, Halloween. I mean, we're going to come up with a 420 cocktail and make it kind of funny and cool. So yeah, that's exciting. So we're definitely gonna be doing that, switching it up a little bit.
Very cool. Well, is there anything else people should know about visiting the Blue Heron or any of you guys' other sister concepts?
Yeah, I mean, come by. I mean, it's all different concepts. So no matter where you go, it's gonna be different, and you're gonna have a great time. I mean, we really pride ourselves on being very, people forward and customer forward, and making sure you have the best time every time you come in.
Awesome.
We really try to make a difference in your night.
Well, I'm excited for the opening of the new concept up in Scottsdale, because this is a little bit of a drive for me, but it's a cool spot. So I'll definitely have to make it down here for cocktails soon.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And then Chandler as well. I love the experience, and especially if you're like doing like a double date type thing or something like that. For sure. Cocktail bars are the cool places to go.
Yeah, so exactly.
I also have to say, Suede is like the best cool bartender name I think I've ever heard in my life. I don't know if anyone.
Thank you.
I would imagine you get that a lot, but
thank you. Appreciate it.
When I heard that I was doing the interview with you, I was like, of course his name is Suede. That's too cool. That's too cool.
A lot of Elvis and Terry Cloth jokes for sure. Yeah.
Alrighty, man. Well, thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure chatting with you.
Pleasure,
and I can't wait to come down and taste some of your and your team's creations.
Thank you. Appreciate it. It was nice talking to you, man.
Cheers, man.
Thank you so much. Cheers.